Judith Quin with me. She is the voice lady, voice woman. I'm going to say voice lady, actually. She is a lady. She is so full of energy, and we've just been chatting right now. And yeah, I feel alive listening to her and chatting with her. So Judith, come and introduce yourself to the audience, please.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Wendy. And yes, I am the voice woman, the voice lady, the high priestess of sound and voice to those people who do the more esoteric, energetic work. They call me. Everything I do is about the key message of my work is when you liberate your voice, you liberate and lighten your life, because your voice is a reflection of every experience or emotion that you've ever had, witnessed, or imagined. Your voice is also a reflection of your thoughts and feelings in the moment. And I work with all aspects of the voice to help people free themselves up from their past stuff that they're carrying around, so that they can live life with more confidence as the whole of who they are. My business is your whole of voice, because it's the whole. Your voice reflects the whole of you. So the whole of you, the whole of your life, so that you can really, truly, fully live feeling like you're the one in control, that you have less regrets, you enjoy things more, and yeah, all of that. So my background is 20 years as a classically trained professional actor, and then obviously acting, as opposed to most people's thoughts, is not the world's most glamorous profession. So most actors are basically unemployed most of the time. So to support that, I did a lot of temping, but I've always been a natural healer. So eventually I trained as a massage therapist and started working with energy. Then I discovered voice vibration, sound, and chakra meditation and healing. I started incorporating that. And that's when one of my massage clients said, Judith, you're an actress and you do that stuff with sound, because people don't really understand it. She said, could you help my husband? He's got to give a talk in front of 80 solicitors in a couple of weeks and he hates public speaking. And Bruce was also a client of mine. I'm like, who am I, this 37-year-old failed actress, to tell a 65-year-old magistrate how to speak to 80 lawyers? Like, who am I? Anyway, I said yes and went and worked with Bruce. And that's when things really shifted and transformed for me, because I realized that I have skills and a gift and an ability to see, hear, and feel the truth when it's spoken. And I was able to completely shift his perspective about his talk. He went and stormed it. I wrote about it in my newsletter. More clients started going, ooh. And one of those clients, when I was working with her, said, oh, I didn't know you're also a coach. I'm not. But you've got a coach. I'm like, I don't even know what coaching is. What are you talking about? So then I went and trained as a coach. So now I bring all of that, all of those skills, experience together. So I work with the voice mentally, physically, energetically, emotionally. So really holistically working with the whole person. And like yourself, this obviously touches on deep stuff, on childhood stuff. And then sometimes it brings up really deep traumas. And if that happens, I then have people like yourself who I can forward my clients to and say, actually, this is more than in my skill set, because it can bring big stuff up. Most of the time, most of the time, I don't need to forward someone on, but sometimes I do. And that's when I make sure that I have people like yourself to say, yeah, this is, and that's the power of the voice. People don't realize that so much of their stuff is trapped in their bodies. And the lack of voice is very often because we're protecting ourselves and we've closed everything off and no. And so that's why it liberates, because we're then.
But maybe we were shut down as children.
That too.
Stop talking. Don't show off, be quiet. There's so many of us, I was included, don't speak up. You know, you only, you shouldn't be speaking, or you're saying it wrong. I remember distinctly, I was probably about 6 years old, 7 years old, and my father introduced me to his boss, and I was terrified. And afterwards, my dad said, "You said too many ers and ums, and you didn't speak properly." And I was mortified. I mean, what's that but to shut somebody down?
Yeah.
And you're right. And it is that fear of what will people think about me? What if? And you're right. So many people that come to see me, they share their deepest feelings with me because they're not going to be judged.
Yeah.
They're going to be listened to. Totally. You know, they've got my whole attention. I'm not going to interrupt them. I'm not going to put them down. And they find their voice. And that's the beginning of healing in my business.
It really
so to find our voice is amazing. But it is, we talked before, didn't we, about having that permission.
Permission to speak. And as I said to you before, at the moment, it's the working title of my second book, which is Give Yourself Permission to Speak. Because so many of the people I work with, I would say 85% of the people I work with at the moment are female, although I have more men coming in, which is delightful. I've always worked with men, but I have more coming in. And about 80 to 85% of the people I work with are perpetual people pleasers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you are, I've worked with a completely alpha male as well, who luckily was also self-aware enough to know that he came across as very aloof and a bit scary. I've worked with an alpha female, the same as well. And it doesn't matter if you are alpha male, alpha female or not, or if you're one of my 85% of the people pleasers. Every single person's fear to speak or challenge with speaking, because how you come across, oh my God, I know I used to be terrifying because my defense mechanism was be bigger, be louder, just be a brick wall of no, you're not going to mess with me. So I came across as terrifying to a lot of people. Really, I'm just a little puppy dog.
But it's how you say it was your survival. I'm going to say it's not defense mechanism. It was your survival system. Yes. I always turn that around because I think when we talk about defenses, it sounds really aggressive and scary. Whereas actually that's the way I survived.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, it's the walls you put up to protect yourself. So it doesn't matter who you are on the spectrum. Every single person, what's happening is it's your inner child trying to protect you.
Yeah.
That's saying, I don't have permission to speak here. So I'm either going to force myself, which is when we get people like me and a couple of my other clients, and be like, no, I'm just going to speak anyway. Or for the majority of people, they're looking for permission from others to be validated, to have the space to, and instead of speaking, instead of asking for that permission, they're waiting for it. And instead of taking that permission, they're waiting for it. And instead of giving themselves permission, because, and it's interesting, you said 6, in my experience, most of my clients, I've been doing this 11 years now, most of my clients, the inner child that is trying to protect them is usually between 6 and 16. But I mean, more often than not, it's between 6 and 13. And about 85% of the time, it's an incident that happened at school. Otherwise, it may well be a parent. But what's happening is that inner child is waiting for that permission. And it's about giving yourself permission to speak, because you're not that 8-year-old. You're not that 12-year-old. You're not that sometimes 4-year-old. You are now, however old you are, right? 48. You are, and that 48-year-old doesn't actually need permission. That 48-year-old doesn't need to go, may I, excuse me, is it? I've got, okay, I won't say anything. Or
don't you think there's still that ridicule even in adulthood?
Very rarely will you get ridiculed if you are speaking with clarity, with confidence and conviction? Very rarely. You'll only get ridiculed if when you're speaking, you sound like you don't believe yourself, if you sound like it's a question, and if you are still playing, so you're speaking but not with the confidence. So actually, even in speaking, you're still asking for the permission because you want everyone to agree with you. Very rarely, if you're speaking with complete clarity, confidence and conviction, will you be ridiculed. And then if someone tries to, if you have that confidence in yourself, then you don't give them permission to ridicule you, and you just simply say, well, that's your perspective, mine is different. I know / believe, whatever it is the conversation is, to be true. So you don't allow other people to ridicule you either.
It's more than just using your voice. It's having, as you said, taking those steps, giving yourself permission, and having that self-belief. I mean, there's a lot in there, isn't there? Yeah. It's not just speaking out. It's so big.
It's your whole self. And most of really what I do, people come to me for vocal confidence, and they want to be more confident with public speaking or giving presentations at work or in interviews or in their relationships. I help someone ask for the intimacy that she needed from her husband, and completely transform their relationship. Whatever, people come to me ostensibly to feel more confident expressing themselves. What they get is self-worth, self-belief, recognizing that it's not them now who is afraid or anxious or concerned about these things. It is their inner child. And once they know that, the recognition is the first step, as you know in your work. You've got to recognize, oh, I thought it was this. I thought I was afraid of speaking. I thought I was intimidated by my boss. I thought, oh no, actually, it's 8-year-old me that thinks my boss is my head teacher that told me off. An example from a workshop I ran recently. A woman had 2 maths teachers, 3 years apart. One was just really sharp with their tongue. The other, back in the days of corporal punishment, if they got a question wrong, they get slapped on the hand with a ruler. So to get something wrong meant physical pain. And so she is become a perfectionist and won't speak up unless she's 100% knows it's perfect.
Yeah.
When she recognized that it's not 41-year-old her in that situation, it's actually 11-year-old her, she can now go, oh, well, I don't want an 11-year-old to be in that meeting room anyway. So then we do a process whereby you can take that inner child out and take your whole adult into the room, because that recognition is vital to then be able to release and reframe and have a completely different mindset. And sorry, I could talk about this literally. Well, I'm about to run a 7-day retreat, so I can literally talk about the voice for a week.
Absolutely. And it is that voice, having that permission to speak up, but it is that sometimes, I think we also mentioned before, we were chatting before, just permission to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's so much bigger, because some people, they feel that they're an apology for a human being almost.
Yeah. And permission to be you.
Yes.
I have a lot of people saying to me, oh, Judith, oh my God, you're so this. And I'm like, no. That's why my company is called Your Whole Voice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vocal coaches out there who teach people a system and they're creating mini thems.
Yeah.
That's not me. Like, your voice, permission to be you, have self-belief. Belief is like be life. When you see belief.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Because believe is be live. So when you give yourself permission to believe in yourself, and self-belief, you're giving yourself permission to live as you. There's a phrase, it's called quietly confident. You don't have to be annoyingly loud and big and sparkly and energetic like me. You can be gently sparkly. You can be quietly confident. And the biggest challenge people have is taking self-responsibility for that and not going, oh, but this person put me down and that person said this and that. So it's when we step into this space of self-awareness, self-growth, self-development, call it what you like. It really is about starting to believe in yourself and giving yourself permission to be you in a world where everyone is different. Sometimes we need to adapt in different situations, and that's a different thing. We sometimes, very often, I have to quiet myself. I have to still myself because I know I can be too much for a lot of people when I'm in my full zoom.
Yeah.
So I have to adapt in that way. And a lot of, again, 85% of my clients are introverts. And oh, it's all right for you. I'm like, no, you have to adapt to give yourself energy and boost up and take up more space. But it takes energy for me to quiet myself too. Everyone, depending on the situation, we all need to make those little adaptation shifts. And when we start taking responsibility to do that with the whole of who we are, the whole self-belief, right? So I'm still, like right in this moment, I've quieted myself a little, I've stilled myself a little. The whole of me still includes Judith.
Yeah. We're, as you say, we're all individuals, so we all have our own challenges, if you like, because it is whether we're quieting ourselves or giving ourselves that confidence. And I think I'd like to go back to that part where you talked about permission to be ourselves, because as a people pleaser growing up, I won't go into that. That's my story at the moment. That's fine, but it's not important. But I was always trying to be what I thought other people wanted me to be. And that meant I was twisting myself out of being me. And actually, to the point, I didn't know who I was then.
Yeah.
And that took a journey for me to go, hold on a minute. Why am I trying to be what I think other people want me to be when I don't know what they want me to be anyway? But I got so lost. And then, of course, I didn't have a voice because I didn't know who I was. And I can see you're recognizing this so much.
Yeah.
And it was that permission to be me. And, I can remember one day, I think I was very much an adult when this transformation was happening. And I was sitting having lunch with friends, and I said, it's so nice to be with people who are happy to be with me and accept me, warts and all, even the bitch. And they all laughed. And that really confirmed to me I can be me, and people will like me and they'll enjoy my company and they'll be my friends. And that was an acceptance, but it also, that took, as you said, responsibility as well. And
the courage to, so much in there. And it's largely why, so my first book is Stop Shoulding, Start Wanting. And a lot of coaches are like, oh, you can't call it that because to want means to not have. I was like, no, because most of my people don't know what they want because they don't know who they are. Because they've spent their life trying to do what they think other people might want them to do. And they spend all their time worrying about what they think other people might think about them if they say something. And we always think the negative stuff, and we don't have time to go into that diatribe. No. But it's about, so that's the first step to knowing who you are, is figuring out what you want. Like, stop shoulding what you think society thinks, or your mum thought, or your great aunt, or your siblings, or your friends, or your teachers. What do you want? Like, let that have that energy. If you feel there's an energy of obligation, then you don't want it. And sometimes there are things we need to do, so you can change that around to make it more of a desire. But the ability to start figuring out who you are is so important. And we all want everyone to like us. Of course we do. It's a human survival instinct. And that's why it's very scary to speak up, because we might say something that someone doesn't agree with. And I talk about this in my talks a lot. But to the audience now, I ask you this question. because I know you want everyone to like you, because everyone wants everyone to like them. Of course I do. My God, my background as an actress, for crying out loud. You know, I want to do my job and then I want everyone to give me a round of applause. Thank you very much. To just validate me. I want you all to tell me I'm wonderful. So of course I resonate with this, but here's a mindset shift for you. And so I'm going to ask you the question, Wendy, that I'd like you to actively answer, but I'm asking every single listener as well. I'm asking you, do you like or agree with everyone who you've ever heard speak?
No.
Do you like or agree with everyone you've ever met?
No.
Then why the hell should everyone like or agree with you?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that it might sound a bit obvious. It really can sound very obvious. But actually, I know growing up, that was really something. Well, people, they don't like me. What if they think? But once you can shed that, just discard that horrid kind of, that mantle I was wearing, like, who cares? Actually,
and it's not always easy.
No, but we can't like everybody. We can't be all the same. We're not clones. So you're right, but it's very empowering, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very empowering, and especially when it comes to strangers, or even colleagues. It's like, because, here's another question. So this is for the listeners as well. Ask yourself, and I'm going to ask you, Wendy, are there people who you don't like or agree with, but actually you still respect them?
Yeah.
Not everyone. There are some people who you don't like, don't agree with, and don't respect. But there are some people who you don't like, don't agree with, but you actually still respect.
Yeah.
So remember that is possible too. The hard thing is when there's people who you like and respect, and you want them to like and respect you. And then it's hard because you're like, oh, but I really like you, but you don't like me. That's hard. And I went through some of that this weekend.
Yeah.
I was with a group of transformational leaders. It's an organization I'm a member of. And we're very, we show mirrors to each other a lot, which we all know we're at a level where that's possible. But there were a couple of occasions this weekend where I said things and went, oh God, are they going to hate me now? So what I'm saying is, what you're feeling, to those listening, I feel it too. And this is my work. I just have the tools and techniques to be able to manage with it mentally, physically, energetically, emotionally. And it's about taking self-responsibility, and it's about checking in and giving yourself permission to be wrong. For the perfectionists, giving yourself permission to not be liked. For the ones like me who want to be adored, giving yourself permission, because then if you're going to say it, if you're giving yourself permission for that, that what you have to say is a real truth rather than a reactionary or emotional response, and that it comes from a place of absolute truth rather than false truths.
Yeah.
Some people call beliefs, but I prefer the phrase false truths.
Wow, that's just been amazing. I mean, there's so much in there, so much in there. We could talk for ages. I know we could. One thing that you've offered so much already, but is there one thing that listeners could take away with themselves? One little gem.
It would be, when you liberate your voice, you will liberate and lighten your life. So I invite you to take a breath. So there's a practical thing you can always do, is breathe. Take a step back, change your perspective, and then speak. But I invite you to take a breath and look at your life and ask, how would things be different if I were to find my voice? Because it truly is, when you liberate your voice, your inner voice, your practical voice, you truly liberate and lighten your life, however you do that work. And it might not be through vocal stuff, it might be through seeing someone like Wendy, it's finding who you are and accepting and believing in that.
That's such wise words and great to take away. Wow, I'm going to put all your details in the show notes, but what's one easy way? I mean, we can search you. I just Googled you to find you, you know, and you're everywhere, but an easy way that people can find you, because
if Instagram is your thing, I'm at Your Whole Voice, but you can just go to my website, yourwholevoice.com, and everything is there. My freebies, my email, my connection call. So yourwholevoice.com.
Thank you so much, Judith. It's been an absolute delight today. Yeah, loved the conversation, and I'm going away with a load more things to think about. So thank you.
Thank you so much.